Greetings, greetings. My name is Ram Hotep. I'm broadcasting on behalf of 13ScienceAstrology.com. We are living in a very dark yet light world. Everything is a paradox. Everything is a duality. We are living in a very good yet bad world. We're living in a very material yet spiritual world. And those of us that believe in God and the devil are addressing the same duality that I speak of here. But you must ask yourself, how do we go about protecting ourselves from entities that are adverse to us? Because if we live in a very light yet dark world, this means that there's an opposition taking place. You have the dark beings and the light beings. Now, I know I've addressed the light worker and the dark worker, but I'm coming at this from a different perspective. I'm speaking of a person that's interest is opposite from your interests. A being that's interest is opposite from your interests. How do we go about addressing that? How do we protect ourselves from that being's interest when this being is opposite or adverse and becomes our adversary? How do we protect ourselves from this adversary? Spiritual warfare. That's what it's all about. Spiritual warfare. This is what we are in. We're at war. The Bible says that we don't war against flesh and blood, but we war against principalities and spiritual wickedness and darkness. But we are at war. And there is no outside entity that's going to protect you in this war. No outside entity. There is no group that you can join that's going to protect you from your adversary. That entity that's averse from you. Spiritual warfare. How do you protect yourself in a world of magic? Because that's what's going on here. In this world, the powers that be, or those that rule over the masses, are at war with the masses. Now, whether you think they're aliens, whether you think they are a group of a family, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Illuminati, New World Order, doesn't matter what you think. Whether you think it's Satan or demons, at the end of the day, we all know that there's a war going on. The war for your mind. But the question is what are you going to do to protect yourself? You see? Because obviously, praying to the gods that we are praying to in this world are not helping us. Because it seems as though this group, this small group of people, or entities, or beings, or whatever you want to address them as, or aliens, whatever, this small group is winning. Because they have control of the planet. They have control over your mind. The only way to win this war is to engage in spiritual warfare. The only way to win a war, or to possibly win a war, is to fight. And the problem is that people aren't fighting. People don't even know that they're at war. Now, I'm not telling you to go and shoot anybody. I'm not telling you to go to war against and to go march and to go scream at politicians and to go hunt down Barack Obama or go hunt down George Bush. I'm not even telling you to go to court. I'm telling you to engage in a higher form of warfare. It's higher than that. You don't even have to leave your house for this warfare that I'm talking about. It's called spiritual warfare. You see, if you don't learn magic and you don't learn how to work with your ancestors and your the forces of nature, the ancestral forces of nature, then you're going to lose. And this is why humanity has been losing, as far as humanity as a whole, because some of us are winning. Some of us are taking back our energy from the powers that be. But until you know that there's a war and it's based on magic, you're going to lose, because you don't believe in magic. You think that it's mumbo jumbo. You think that it's spooky. But yet and still, the people that run this matrix put magic in the movies, they use magic to feed you. They put magic on a television. They use magic to block and calcify your third eye. This is all based on magic, because at the end of the day, you know why it's magic? And this is how I'm going to prove you it's magic. Is because it's nobody inside of your house making you do the things that you do to go against yourself. There's nobody in your house making you calcify your pineal gland. There's nobody in your house forcing you to watch television that's emitting radiation, which is destroying your light body and your spiritual body. There's no one in your house forcing you to eat these foods that are against your very nature and against nature herself. So this is how you know it's magic, because we do this willingly. So the only way to win a war is to first engage in the war. And this war is, like I said, it's a spiritual war based on magic. So you have to learn how to work your own magic. And your magic is, first, your ancestors will not listen to you if you don't show them that you are serious about taking back your energy from the powers that be. Because the powers that be need your energy to stay in control. That's their weakness. That's the best kept secret. That is their weakness. As long as you engage in the system, then they'll control you. But the minute you decide, I'm not going to play the game anymore, and I'm not going to engage in the system, I'm going to take back my energy, they don't control you anymore. So you have to learn how to work your own rituals, use your own magic, make offerings to your ancestors, make offerings to entities that are agreeable to you, because they're not going to listen to you. See, we're wondering why our magic is not working. And we're wondering why the universe and the elemental forces of nature are not responding to us, and it's because they're not listening to us, because we are not putting energy into them. And when I say them, I'm speaking of the elemental forces of nature. Those are our forces that are on our side. We don't put energy into that. We put energy into the artificial world, the material world. You see, it's warfare. This is what's really going on. This is called spiritual warfare. So if you don't want to get into the occult, you don't want to get into light work, you want to basically stay a spectator, then basically you're going to be a victim of the matrix. That's how it goes. This is spiritual warfare. They need your energy to exist. These entities that control the matrix, they need your energy to exist. So you must engage in spiritual warfare by taking back your energy, is the first step, and then building up a relationship with your ancestors and with ancestral forces of nature. When I say your ancestors, I'm talking about nature. Nature is your ancestor. You build up a connection with nature, your ancestor. You build up a connection with the sun, that's your ancestor. You build up a connection with the moon, that is your ancestor. You build up a connection with the earth, that is your ancestor. And you do this by making offerings to these different entities, to the air. You make offerings to the air. And this is when you will see success, when you take back your energy from the matrix and engage and decide to engage in warfare. Not of guns, talking about the higher warfare, psychological warfare, spiritual warfare. You see, and we're not doing that. And this is why we aren't being successful in taking back our energy, because we want to continue to give our energy to the matrix. And as long as we do that, we're going to be the loser every single time. It's a war for the mind. That's what they need. That's the ultimate thing that they need. As long as your mind and you put your mental energy into it, it's always going to exist. You have to decide that I'm not going to. You resist by non-doing. This is the Taoist principle, the art of non-doing. You see, if you don't know that they're at war and they're using magic against you, then you're going to be a loser too. Because not only is it non-doing, but you have to learn how to work magic. I mean, I know I keep saying the same thing, but I really want to get this into your mind. You have to learn how to work magic. And magic is not spooky. It's about working with energy. This is what magic is. You're working with energy. You're working with the elemental forces. All of those elements that I named, air, fire, earth, and water, are elements of energy, different grades and levels of energy. That's all they are. And when you work magic, you learn how to work with these energy forces, and with these ancestral forces. And this is how you engage in war, by making offerings to your ancestors. We're at war. It's a spiritual war. But yet and still, it's a war.